welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to play around with the brand new MAC Art Library collection, the Flame-Boyant Palette. I'm so excited. I got this from my gratis from work and I'm really excited to do a really fun halo eye with this and let you guys see the palette. Let's get started. To show you guys the palette, it looks like this. It has some really cool swatches that are representative of the shadows that are inside, which I thought they did a really good job with the packaging. It's really hard plastic, which I really like because it's easy to clean. And let's open her up, shall we? So she looks like this. And I will go ahead and put some swatches up on the screen as well as the shadow names so you guys can take a look. Let's dive in right to this eye look, shall we? All right, you guys, I brought you in nice and close. As you can see, I already did my brows. We're just focusing on this eye look today. So first things first, as usual, I'm gonna go ahead and prime my eyelids with my Shape Tape concealer. All right, now that I've laid down some Shape Tape, I'm going to go ahead and set this concealer with some of my face powder. Now that my base is set, I'm gonna start going in with the shadow. The first shade I'm going to use from this palette is called Samoa Silk. I'm going to take that really pretty light peach shade on a big fluffy blending brush and I'm going to put that all the way through my crease. Now that I have my first shadow down, next up I'm going to be using the shade Rule from the palette, which is that really pretty orange shade, and I'm going to be taking a smaller blending brush. I'm using a Morphe R39, which is a more precise blending brush, and I'm going to be doing that same windshield wiper motions back and forth in my crease with that Rule shade. With the halo eye cut creases, you really don't have to be super precise with your eye look, which is really nice because you're gonna go back over it with concealer and perfect everything later. So don't worry so much about everything being super perfect because you're gonna be able to perfect that later. And also with this Rule shade, I am bringing it down just a little bit lower onto my lid from my crease because we're going to start to do that really cool gradient with all the warm colors. Next up is going to be the shade Dollywood. And on that same blending brush, I'm going to be doing the same thing, back and forth windshield wiper motions on my crease and bringing it down just a little bit lower onto my lid. Okay guys, so next up I'm going in with the shade Lurve at First Sight, which is that really pretty red shade, and I'm going to be doing that same motion except really bringing that red color onto my lid now and going back and forth in kind of a half moon shape. Okay, so the last shadow that I'm going to be using is the Everyone's Darling shadow from this palette. And on a more precise brush that looks just like this, I'm going to be packing that on the inner corner and outer corner just to really give it a little more definition of red. Okay, you guys, so as you can see, we have a really awesome half moon type shape going. I left a little bit of negative space in the middle. That's where you're going to be placing your halo. So you should have the color going from a really pretty peach and descending down all the way into a really dark red, which looks really cool. So for this next part, for the halo, I'm gonna bring you in a little bit closer so you can get a better look. Okay, you guys, so now that I've brought you in a little bit closer, I'm gonna show you how to do a halo eye. So with your Shape Tape concealer and a very tiny concealer brush, you wanna take a mirror like this. Yes, this is a mirror from MAC. Thanks. Thanks, Mac. You're gonna take some concealer on your very small concealer brush and load up your brush. And what I like to do is look right straight into your mirror. And I usually will go right over top of where my pupil is and where my eye is. I draw a straight line from my crease down. So I have a little bit more of hooded eyes. So what I like to do at this point is I like to put my halo a little bit above my crease so it's showing. So what I do now is I'll look all the way up towards the ceiling so that I can feel the concealer touching the top of my crease. Okay, so now that I looked all the way up, it went ahead and marked above my crease where I want my halo to start. So you can see it when my eyes are open and closed. So what I like to do now is I'll take my concealer brush and I like to make a little bit of a half moon shape. I start to make a half moon shape on either side, and then as I bring it down along that straight line that I just made, I like to fray the edges a little bit. All right, so now that my concealer is laid down for the beginning of my halo, the next step I like to do is just to use my finger and kind of blur out the edges of the concealer. That just helps the shadow to lay down a little bit nicer when I do go to cover up the edges. Okay, you guys, so now that I've blurred out the edges of the concealer with my finger, I'm going to go back in with that more precise brush and the Lurve at First Sight shadow. And I'm going to go ahead and lightly pack that on the edges of the halo. All right, you guys, if you wanted to stop here, you totally can. I usually like to just add one of the orange shades at the very end just so it looks really nice and blended and it fades from that dark red into that middle color. So lastly, with that same definer brush, I'm going to go in with the shade Rule and just lightly flick that towards the inner part of the halo. Okay, you guys, so now that I have that Rule shade blended in towards the middle, we're gonna go ahead and go in with the shimmer shade for the halo, which is the What's the Pointillism? Which is that really pretty shimmer shade, that first shadow in the palette. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna take my Fix Plus and I'm going to wet my brush. And I'm going to go ahead and apply that shimmer shade into the middle of my eye where I have the concealer for the halo. Now that I have the shimmer shade laid down and I frayed out the edges, if you feel like you went over a little bit too far, I would add a little bit more Rule to the edges just to make sure everything's all blended out and seamless looking. All right, you guys, so I'm going to go ahead and add some liquid liner and some mascara and lashes off camera, and I will be right back. Now that I have my liner and lashes on, I'm going to go ahead and put on my face, and then I will be back to do the lower lashes and finish up this eye look. All right, you guys, now that I put my face on off camera, let's go ahead and wrap up this eye look, shall we? Now we're going to go ahead and smoke out the lower lash line. The first shade I'm going to use is that shade Rule. And on a small pencil brush, I'm going to run that along my lower lash line. Okay, so next up, I'm going to use the shade Dollywood and run that along my lower lash line as well. Okay, you guys, next up is the shade Lurve at First Sight. I'm going to go ahead and run that along my lower lash line, keeping it as close to my waterline as possible. And last but not least is the shade Everyone's Darling. I'm using just a little bit of this shade just to give the bottom lash the definition that it needs. All right, you guys, so off camera, I went ahead and added some mascara to my lower lashes as well as some liner to my waterline. So if you wanted to stop here with this eye look, you totally can. But if you know me well enough by now, you know how extra I am, and I'm gonna add a little bit more, AKA some glitter. So for this next step, I'm going to go ahead and, as usual, use my Lit Cosmetics glitter glue. First up, I'm gonna add some glitter to the top of the halo. The glitter that I'm using today is from Super Glitters. It's called Starstruck Glitter with a really small liner brush. I put my glitter glue on there as well as my glitter, and I'm just going to draw a little line at the top of my half moon with glitter. All right, you guys, now that I've added some of that Starstruck glitter above my halo, I'm going to go ahead and use the Silver Stars glitter from MAC and put a star under each eye. All right, you guys, now that I added the glitter to my eyes, off camera, I added Pat McGrath's 1995 lipstick to my lips and a little more highlight. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys next time. See ya.